Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be upgrading the stock Honda Fit battery, which is the 151R, and we'll be upgrading it to the 51R. To do this, you may or may not need to modify your battery tray. I'll explain that when we get there. I chose not to modify my battery tray, and I ended up buying the Optima battery tray tie down. You're going to need some tools, a socket wrench with a 10 and 12 millimeter attachment. You're also going to need a deep dish 10 millimeter attachment to take off the battery tie down. I do not have one of those, so if you don't have one either, you're going to need a 10 millimeter wrench. Here you can see our stock 151R battery. It measures in at about 7 inches, and then you have about 2 inches of gap in the battery sleeve that surrounds it. You can see I made use of the sleeve by putting in my light bar wiring harnesses in it, and I already disconnected the light bar positive and negative terminals not to confuse anybody from their stock battery. So I'll have to remove these and then deal with that when that time comes. But for now, we're going to use our 10 millimeter wrench and disconnect the negative side first. You don't have to take the bolt off all the way, and if you do, to clean the terminals, be careful not to drop anything in the engine bay. I'm going to do this battery tie down next. This is where my socket does not reach all the way down, and you may need a deep dish socket, but I'm going to have to do this the old-fashioned way. You don't have to take off the full nut, just enough to make this J-hook loose. If you don't know, it goes in and there's a hole at the bottom that this hooks into. It makes the battery clamp down. Now let's take our 12 millimeter socket, loosen the top up. Actually, you know what? I might not even need to do that. I might take that off later for easier use of mobility. All right, battery terminals are disconnected. Let me remove my wiring harness. Tuck that up there for now. As you can see, you got enough room for the larger battery. Let's take off the sleeve cover. Here's where your stock battery fits. You're going to need to cut and notch this out for the 51R battery to fit in the tray. Your fit may or may not come with a larger tray. Optima is one of the largest 51R batteries, so that could play a factor in it as well. But let's remove this battery tray. So all you would have to do is cut this out right here and the battery would fit into place. If you're smart, you could cut it here and along the bottom, flip this and use some JB Weld or some type of glue and glue the tray back together and then put a piece on the bottom. You could also Google the part number and find out which one is the larger battery tray, but that retails for around $40 or $80, which I thought was quite expensive. You could also go to the junkyard and probably find yourself a larger battery tray from the battery that it comes with. As you can see, this is quite nasty, so let's clean this out. I'm going to be using this Optima battery tray, which I'm going to paint later. But let's see how this is gonna fit in here. Pretty good, just hitting that plastic peg. No big deal. How about these mounting holes? One there, one there. So right here, I'm going to pull back and remove this tab. And then I'm going to take off these two bolts and remove the metal battery tray altogether. This is a 12mm bolt. Don't lose it. Place that somewhere safe. Let's hit up the next one. Right now to remove this engine. There's probably a better way to remove this. There we go. Just push in on the right and the left side tab. That's on this. Two more bolts. I'm assuming that they're 12mm. Where did it go? Hopefully I can reach these. When I take this off, I'll show you where they're located. I could probably drill holes right there, but I don't want to get a bunch of metal shavings in my engine bay. I'd rather drill it outside. All right. Ta-da! There's probably one more. Where you at? Oh, now it's coming out. Woo! Almost dropped it. Well, of course, there's another tab for the battery wiring harness. Let's try to remove this safely. See the tab now? There's one side. There we go. And we are free. Look at that. The two bolts I just removed came from the right down here at the bottom and your left over here down at the bottom. There we go. Oops. See the thread holes? And then over here. Drill some holes in this battery mount. Since I'm going to drill some holes in bare metal, when I'm done, I'm going to touch it up with some VHT white epoxy paint, and I'll also be painting this black so everything looks nice and clean. So I just broke through. I had the perfect size drill bit. And we'll mock bolt this up and see how it goes. this is probably, I believe that's the front. There's holes in the bottom of the battery that should fit over the bolts. And then we have those guys to secure the battery down. So I'm gonna paint these aluminum parts black, and then I'm gonna retouch this up white, and then we're gonna reinstall it back into the car. Got the Optima battery tray self-etched and primed. Battery mount, 2 coats of white VHT, still needs like another coat or two. And I'm gonna wait for these to dry overnight, and then I'm gonna come back and hit them with a gloss black. It's the next day. The self-etching primer came out real nice. Did about 3 to 4 coats. That's the hook I was hanging it on there, but that'll be fine. This is better than what it was looking like. I'm gonna do about 1 more coat on that when I paint these black. First coat of black, covered quite nice. Right, I just put the last coat on it. Came out like 90%. I got 1 dribble toward the top. I'm gonna come back to them later on in the day and then put that clear coat on. It's the following day. Clear coat should be nice and dry. The black came out real nice. Now comes the fun part of putting the battery tray mount back into place. It's 4 12mm bolts. I'm gonna hand tighten the top 2 in first, and then go in with the side ones. Sure, let's click it down. Two down. These ones should be fun. Well, isn't this fun? I wish I had a camera down there for you. Oh, I got one in. There we go. Oh yeah, almost forgot these other 2 bolts. One more bolt. I'm starting to break a sweat. How about you? There we go. There we go. Like a rock. Oh, there's a perfect view of the bolts right there. There's 1 bolt. And let me see if I can show you the other one. Oh, perfect. There's your 1 bolt on the left, and there's your bolt on the right, dead center of the screen. And then we're just gonna pull it straight up, and there would be the battery tray mount. This wire is for my speaker. It's in the lower front grille. I'm gonna put the battery tray down for the Optima, and then I'm gonna tuck my wiring harnesses behind the light before I drop the battery in. Let's mount the tray up. We're gonna be using 2 larger Allen bolts. see what happens. Reach underneath. Got some nuts and Loctite washers. Woo! All right, I don't know what got recorded or what didn't. I got the Loctite. All right, the camera died, but it was an Allen and a 14mm wrench. I'm going to drop the battery in and put in the mounting brackets for the Optima battery and see if I can reach them with my Allen wrench. If not, I might need to buy one of those T Allen wrenches. You know what? Let me remove this handle. So you're gonna put one of these on each side to clamp the battery down, which is looking pretty easy on this side. This side looking a little ridiculous. And as you can see, I already chipped my nice battery tie. That one's in. I mean, this one's not terrible if you don't have extra wiring harnesses in the way. Drop and pray. Oh, that was fairly easy. I don't know if you can see it, but there's 3 Allen bolts I gotta tighten down on this side and the other side. Oh, that's a perfect view. Look at that. You know, it's one thing to reach a tight spot. It's another to reach a tight spot with a camera in the way. Lots of minutes of work ahead because I don't have a long enough Allen wrench. I'm gonna bolt this up on one side and then I'll drive to the store and get the appropriate tool for the other side. Ooh, almost dropped the Allen wrench. I was just gonna shut the camera off. I lucked out. I found a small enough Allen bit and a few extensions, and we can make this work. Ooh. Unless that happens. Thought it was a magnetic tip. I guess it is not. Well, these should be fun to get. Now that'll vibrate. I hope the audio captured that. That was too perfect. Come on, two more. I'll get back to it. So I gave it the reach around, and I got one more in there. Now I just need the one that fell in the skid plate. Wish me luck, I'm going in. It moved. I got it. Ta-da! It's honestly pretty solid with 5 out of those 6 Allen bolts, and I just dropped it in again, and the ground wire's kind of in the way. So until I get a magnetic tip, I'm just gonna leave it with 5 out of the 6. So let's get to hiding my light bar wiring harnesses, and then hooking. All right. Oh, this is one of those memes where a 15-minute project turns into a whole ordeal. I have my light bar wiring harnesses that were over here. I rerouted them over in this direction. So we got one to go. There. Let me wire these up and then I'll tuck the fuses down. Click it or take it. Nice. Access both fuses. Carefully remove this. Oh boy. Thankfully that wasn't too hard to reach. Hey, there we go. All right, there you go. Oh, I really don't even need to take them off to do that. I can go like that. There we go. That looks better. I think that's about it. Clean up the tools off the engine bay and fire it up.